Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. Our guest this week is a blues-infused country rocker who likes to do things his way. And there's an ever-growing legion of fans who are really glad that he does. In fact, he's the kind of guy that if you want to see him do something, tell him it can't be done and sit back and watch. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, the pride of Baker, Louisiana, Will Wesley. Will, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me, and hello everybody out there. It's good to see you and talk with you.
Well, we're happy to have you on the show, Will, and I want to start out by asking you to give us a little dirt. We heard you were sneaking into bars at 15 years old.
Are y'all telling all the skeletons from my closet on this show? It's very true. Yes, I was. It's funny. When I started out, I was growing a beard so that people would let me play, and now I'm shaving it to hide my age. Life's a funny thing.
We always want to grow up fast, and then once we, hit 21, it's like, I'm good.
So yeah, we can slow down a little bit now. The momentum can shift,
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny, Will, like you're talking about the beard, like sometimes depending on the lights, my blonde beard looks gray. I don't know, but it's blonde.
Oh, it's totally blonde, and I don't see a gray in it. Don't you worry about that.
So, Will, we understand that your father kind of inspired you to pick up the guitar. Was there a special guitar, and what role did he play in your career in those early days?
In my early days, my dad was a guitar player, and he worked at Exxon Mobil, so he would be working all week and then playing on the weekends, And one of the things that I noticed about that was that him coming in from these smoky bar rooms and everything, I know when it would turn a lot of people off from the music scene, it was kind of at an early age what made me realize I want nothing more. That's everything I want. I want to be playing these clubs. I want to be playing for people. And I asked him for a guitar. And when I was 11 years old, we weren't a rich family. So I remember him buying a secondhand guitar from a pawn shop and bringing it home. It was a PVT 60, which I've got numerous guitars these days, but I still have that guitar. It's personal to me.
Oh, that's very sweet. Wow. And I just want to follow up on that with one more question. How special is it that you and your father both play guitar, that he inspired you, and do you play out together ever?
When I was younger, my dad's a bit older now, so we don't play as much as we used to. But when I was younger, one of my best memories is that we would always play around the table, and he was inviting friends over, and musician friends, and we would sit around, and that's kind of where I started to get my education before he put me in the schooling for it. And before I learned music theory and all that good stuff, I really just learned how to play by ear, playing around the table with all these musicians that my dad had played with. So yeah, that's a very special memory to me as an artist.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate our first and longest running sponsor of the show, Tom and his team of insurance professionals at the Malin Agency. If world-class customer service and doing business with someone you can trust is important to you, give Tom and his team a call today for all your insurance needs. Yeah, so Will, it's pretty clear that your dad had a real major impact on you early in your musical career and in those early days. But what kind of impact did it have growing up in Baker, Louisiana? How did that help shape you both as an artist and as a person?
I'll be honest with you, I won't hold back. The blues. Baker, Louisiana, where I was growing up as a kid, I grew up in a rather rough area, where you had to prove yourself or either fake like you could, so you didn't have to prove it in that neighborhood, And as a kid, growing up kind of in an inner city, like that, you learn to you didn't just learn how to play music and the people around, because they had great musicians around, but you learned how to be more of a people person living in a city like that. You learned how to talk to people and how to interact. So I would say that my upbringing in Baker really brought that out in me, having to learn how to interact and how to be more social with people, and also having to keep up with a lot of the inner city kids with, to be honest with you, are a lot of fantastic musicians. They know what they're doing. A lot of them come out of the church scene and things like that, and they're very, very, very talented.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm sure it helps elevate, your game as an artist. And one thing that was pretty clear to me in looking at your background was that, you were playing the blues. You said there was the blues, you're playing them, you're doing a really good job of playing those blues for quite some time. But then you get to a point where there's kind of a crossroads, if you will, personally and professionally, and enter stage right country music. And
Yes.
kind of provides an outlet and maybe a different path for you. Can you share that story with us?
I've always been a believer that country and blues aren't as far apart as people may think they are.
Hmm.
It's about the honesty of the music and it's about the stories that it tells. They say in country it's three chords and the truth. It's really not that different in the blues, like blues, a lot of people have a misunderstanding to think that the blues is about being sorrowful and depressed and all these things, but it's actually not. The blues is more of a church experience, a therapeutic experience that makes you feel that you're not so alone in your struggles. And country music is very similar. Going back to Hank Williams, he was directly a product of the blues, in my opinion. So to make the jump from those musics wasn't really hard for me because my dad was in a country band and he also was in blues bands. So I was growing up listening to this. And I found them both to be outlets to express the things that I feel and things that I've always wanted to do. So really the relationship between the two musics isn't as far apart. And it was easy for me to make that jump. And there's blues influence in my music even to this day.
What blues artists and what country artists influenced you the most?
In the blues world, I'd have to say I liked a lot of the chess recording artists. I liked Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters. I liked Albert King, all the Kings, Freddie King, Albert King. I love BB King. BB was one of my favorite blues musicians growing up because he wasn't the most technical guitarist, but he was a soulful guitarist. Everything that he did really conveyed the honesty of his life and music. And in country music, I grew up loving the honest storytellers. Like my favorite of all time is Hank Williams. I
Hmm.
love Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard. I love these artists that really took the time to put the honesty of their music out there for the people to listen to and to see. And I've tried to mold my music in the same way, whether it's a party song, a drinking song, or just a downright tearjerker. I want to be as honest as I can because I believe if I'm honest, the people will receive it better.
Do you ever feel, Will, like, oh, this is a little too personal to share?
I have many times, and it's funny you should say that because my upcoming single after Honky Tonk USA is called 12 O'Clock in Texas. And it's going to be a song that's very personal to me. It's about the death of my brother, and it's about the emotions that I dealt with. And I'm honest with people because I try to use the honesty, like I said before, as a way to be relatable and to help people. My brother died of a heroin overdose,
Oh,
something I've never done. I've never done drugs, but to see him struggle with that left a lasting impact on me. And 12 O'Clock in Texas is a song talking about what that his death and that tragedy, the impact and the aftermath it left on me. So to be honest, people are telling me it's going to be my best single, but to be honest, I'm scared to death to release it because it is exposing a side of myself that I've never exposed. So that's a very good question. And the
right.
truth is, yes, I do feel that way quite often.
Well, two things. One, we are so sorry for the loss of your brother. That's a tragedy.
Thank you so
It
much.
really is. And I understand the hesitancy, you know, being so vulnerable because it is personal and it's almost like there's certain things you don't want to put out there to potentially be criticized in any way or judged in any way
Yeah.
because it's really, your life, but then again, there are so many people that will be able to relate to that particular journey and those sentiments, and it'll probably help a lot of people.
That's the goal, Rosie. I mean, to be honest with you, there was a time where my music to me was all about, hey, let's try to get known, let's try to go viral, let's try to do all these things. But after my brother's death and the death of my manager, Brian Abrams, we lost him in December.
Mm.
Um, I began to realize that music can be used for a greater good. It can be used not about myself, but to use the message to try to help other people. And that's truly what I'm all about these days. I guess it was a humbling experience that it's not about me, it's about using your God given talent to try to help others. And that's what this is all about.
That is very powerful and inspirational stuff too, Will. And I will tell you, I think, especially in country music, and you mentioned earlier about storytellers, and if you look back at some of the great writers and singers, they are telling stories. They're telling stories about themselves, and it can be at times therapeutic for the artist, but also, as Rosie said, there's going to be so many people that can relate to that. And I think you're coming from such a space that it's going to be about as real as it can get. And I can't help but think that that's going to connect with people. And
You know,
that growing legion of fans I mentioned in the intro is going to grow even larger.
it very well may, and there may be some changes in my life with that kind of growing exposure. But it's like I was saying, I really believe that if you can use music to help people, that's what you need to do. Because let's be honest, in 2024 going into 25, we got a lot of problems in our world, in our society, and in people in general. And it goes back to the blues in that sense. I may be playing country songs, it may be more modern sounding, but it's all about relatability. And if we can, as artists, use that to reach people, I think we've done our job as artists. So if growing exposure happens, I'm very, very welcoming to it, but I'm going to try to stay humble and help people along the way.
Keep doing your thing, definitely. When you sit down to write a song, do you think, okay, I'm going to write a country song, or I'm in the mood to write a blues song today, or is it just where the inspiration takes you?
It's really where the inspiration takes me. As a songwriter, I write a lot of country music, but I write a lot of course, blues, but I can write anything from rock and roll to swing jazz. I'm a big jazz lover. So it's really where the inspiration takes me. We have a country album here, and you never know. Next album might be completely cocktail jazz. We just never know. I might lose the hat and put on a three-piece suit. We never know.
Well, I'm curious, if you were to look back at some of the twists and turns, if you will, of your musical journey thus far, what are some of your favorite memories?
Some of my favorite memories would be in the travel section. The first time I was able to go to Europe, the first time I was able to go to Thailand, traveling to Asia and things like that, and meeting other cultures of people and seeing how music can break that barrier to where you meet these people, you don't even know how to speak their language, but you're relatable through your music. And that has been one of the most rewarding things, is to see people singing my songs in other countries, and I don't even know the language they're speaking, but I know it's the lyrics to my songs. That makes you stop and say, wow, this is truly, a spiritual thing. And that's probably the most rewarding experiences I've had as an artist and musician.
That's amazing. I mean, you're right. It is kind of a universal language, but I still wonder, how do they know the words if it's not their native language?
I've oftentimes asked myself that same question, Rosie, and to this day, I don't know. Maybe it's modern technology. Maybe they can translate and read it. I
Probably.
don't know, but I've definitely wondered that. Like, how do they know the words? But I'm glad they do.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about your latest single, Honky Tonk USA. What inspired that song? And did you have as much fun shooting the video as it looks like you did?
We did. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest behind the inspiration of this song is, look, I understand that there is different opinions and taste in music, but I'm a believer that one form of music should not die so that another can live. And with Honky Tonk USA, look, I'm all about the modernization of country music. If that's what you're into, I support you. But I've had it with country music and real country music being pushed to the back burner. Look, these country artists, there are a lot of traditional country artists out there who are living at home with their parents. They cannot make a living because their music is just not being appreciated. And me, I come from, as you know, a different world. I come from country, blues, rock and roll. But the country artists that I grew up listening to couldn't even find their way on the radio today. They would be ignored. Merle Haggard would be ignored today. And that was really the inspiration behind Honky Tonk USA is why can't we make a space for these legendary country artists and keep our eyes out for the new potential legendary country artists? Why do we have to ignore these artists so that modernization can live? And that is the true meaning behind Honky Tonk USA. It's not a bashing of what another artist is doing. It's really recognizing what artists before us have created. And that's the message behind the song. And the music video was funner than it looked. We had more stopping of the tapes because I was laughing very hard. It was a fun video to make, and I write all my music video scripts. So I just thought it would be very funny to create a script talking about, the future of country music in a talent contest. I just thought that would be a very fun idea. And it turned out to be more fun than I've had on any music video we've ever written. So
That's great.
Yeah, from the opening shot, I was cracking up with that opening audition before you come out. So definitely a lot of fun, and you make some great points there too, Will. Because to me, every artist that we talk to, and you look at so many, even the younger artists, they'll reference Johnny Cash, Merle,
yes,
Willie, George Jones. They listen to them, so there's still a space for them, and it should be something other than just a serious radio station somewhere.
right. It's really, Bill, it's just about keeping the music alive. It's about, it would sadden me as an artist to see this music die, and it does sadden me. I was doing a video just the other day about a club right here in my own hometown that inspired me as a kid. It was called the Old South Jamboree. And it was a place where all these classic country artists, Bill Monroe's son and Johnny Cash and George Jones, played at one period of time. But now that building is boarded up, shut down, and falling apart. And it's falling apart because the artists are no longer being booked. And that's really where the inspiration of all this is coming from, is that I really want to get the honesty of the message out there that, look, these artists need to be remembered. It's not about my legacy, it's about theirs. And my song, Honky Tonk, is really just talking about being a vehicle to remember these artists, and I can't emphasize that point enough.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think for what it's worth, from what I just recently read, Will, in addition to that legion of fans I talked about, and Rosie and my appreciation of your music,
thank you.
Word on the street is that you may have some nominations getting racked up for some JOSIE awards. I mean, that's the pinnacle for independent artists. And you've got I think 3 different awards I saw that you're nominated for. Talk to us about that.
That's an amazing blessing. I found out just recently, my social media man, Dom, texted me and said, "Hey, Will, you're nominated." And I said, "Wow, yeah, I heard about, we got a nomination." He said, "Well, you got 3. I said, whoa, wow, what a great thing, So first of all, I want to thank the JOSIE Awards for that. That's going to be a great time. I cannot wait to get to Nashville and bring the whole team along. Hopefully we'll win. But if we don't, we're just thankful to be nominated. And it's just such an exciting time right now to, I think it's more just being appreciated as a songwriter and to get this recognition. It's truly a dream come true. And I want to really thank not only them, but the fans and even y'all for having me on the show to spread the message and to get that out there. I'm grateful all around.
Well, definitely. And congratulations. And we hope you win too.
Thank you.
Will, what have you got coming up in the rest of 2024?
We got a pretty busy 24. Next month, I depart for Switzerland. I'll be doing a week-long tour of Switzerland. I'm told by my friend Florian Fox, who I'm touring with over there, we got 7 sold out shows, and we're doing the big trucker festival over there. So I'm going to be there and spreading the message of the music there. And then I'm coming back home, and we got a heavy schedule of music videos we're shooting. We're playing the Whiskey A Go Go in Los Angeles, California on the 22nd of this month. And we got that going. We got a lot of festivals in Texas, the Odessa Festival coming up on August 31st, I believe. We'll be in Texas. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on the road. We're going to be making a lot of music videos, and we're gearing up for the release of 12 O'Clock in Texas and many more. So the rest of the year is going to be single releases, music videos, and touring. I'm going to be on the road a lot. Thank God I bring my wife with me, or I might forget her name.
Don't do that.
No, I think that would be that might be the inspiration for my next single.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'll tell you, Will, I've got one last question that I have to ask you, and it's since you're going to be so busy with touring and going internationally and all those different things, you may not have a whole lot of spare time. But I'm curious, when you're not performing, writing, touring, what else do you do in your spare time? Was it riding alligators? I heard. Is that really true?
You know, I don't have the courage to ride an alligator. I think it might bite off my hand, and I need those for playing guitar. But you know, man, I'm actually a pretty normal guy when I'm not on the road. I like to spend time with my wife and my kids. I like to drive around. I like to go fishing. I like to just do anything to kind of get out there and clear my head and, you know, write songs. And I'm a pretty down to earth fella, man. You know, I really like to just do things that are just calming and peaceful. You know, I like to hike, go fishing. I love football. I love things like that. You know, I'm a pretty garden variety fella.
Wonderful. Last question for me. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of musical influences?
Oh, wow. Musical influences. In the country world, I'd have to say Hank Williams.
Okay.
I'd have to say Hank Williams. In the modern country world, I would say I'm a big Eric Church fan. I like what Eric's doing out there. He's on the pinnacle of that. In the blues world, I'd have to say Stevie Ray Vaughan. Unfortunately, he's passed, but I'm a big fan. And I'd have to say in the songwriting category, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. So I got a lot of Mount Rushmore influences there.
I love that. That's very eclectic.
Yeah, I'm an eclectic guy in my own way.
Well, we certainly wish you well in all of these endeavors. You've got a lot going on. It's exciting. And you're going to be, you know, speaking of, you know, kind of iconic bars, the Whiskey A Go-Go is right up there on that list. So good for you and your band that you're playing that venue. That's wonderful. And folks, we're going to leave you with Honky Tonky USA. So Will, thank you so much. All the best to you. And folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
My mom, my dad, my truck, and my heart.
Well, the songs of the South are gone with the wind, and the outlaw is nothing but a name. Yeah, they tore USA. An assembly line cowboy in a new Chevrolet. There's a new one being made every day. A newer model, but the song stays the same. They're making hits 'cause it fits down in Honky Tonk USA. USA. Honky Tonk. They're making hits with its own fit.
This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty & Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.